Hi, this is Alex Fernandez with Bud and Doug Walters Auto Sales here in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Today I'll be doing a video going over the primary features inside of this 2018 Toyota Highlander LE Plus V6 all-wheel drive. We'll begin by talking about the touchscreen here on the dash, along with the buttons along either side of it and the dials up above. We'll then work our way down to the climate control system below, and then some switches we have down in the center console area. From there, we'll head to the steering wheel, talk about the buttons on it and the stalks behind it, as well as our gauge cluster and the screen in the middle of it. And then we'll look at some buttons here on our left side and a couple buttons up above. Going back to the touch screen here to start, this is where we'll interact with our hands-free calling, pairing up a phone with Bluetooth, as well as things like your radio, any trip information, fuel economy, things like that you can display here. We'll begin by looking at the screen here. Right now we're on the home page. We access that just by pressing that home button here on the left side. That gives us a little display showing audio information, phone information, and kind of some fuel economy, trip information on the right side there. We're going to go to the audio tab to begin. This will show what we're listening to at the present, which in this case would show that we're listening to FM radio. If we wanted to change that, simply press source in the top right, and then we can choose between AM, FM, satellite radio if you subscribe, CD, USB, Bluetooth, and auxiliary. We'll stay on FM for right now. You'll notice along the left-hand side of the screen we have the presets list. In that presets list, there are 36 total slots, and the reason they give you so many is so that you can mix and match AM, FM, and satellite stations all within that same list. To set a preset, simply choose the station and then press and hold. Wait for the beep, and you'll see that that station then switches over to be displayed there. You have volume and power on this top left dial. Simply press a dial to turn the radio on and off, and then volume, and just spin that dial to adjust it. Up in the top right we have tuning dial, which allows us to change the station, and we also have seek buttons here on the right side, which will also change the stations. On the screen we have options, which allows us to turn on things like high definition radio, which is just a clearer signal, a better sound if it's available. And also FM information in case there's anything for the radio station to display, such as song or artist name. Along the bottom we have a scan function, a station list, which compiles a list of stations available in the area and then sorts them by genre as well. And last thing we have is our sound settings. You have treble, mid, range, and bass, and then our fade and balance on the right side there. Going back to our home page, you'll see we have this phone section here. We have no phone connected, and we can add a new device if you're pairing your phone for hands-free calling here. You'd simply press add and then search for Toyota Highlander on your phone in your Bluetooth settings and select it from the list once it's displayed. Pairing your phone with Bluetooth will sync up your contacts and call history logs, so you'll have all the information there from your phone on the vehicle as well, so that when someone calls you, you'll know who it is that's calling you. Going back to that home page, the other section we have is the trip information here. You'll see we have average speed, elapsed time, range, as well as a 15-minute history of your fuel economy. We're able to clear that, restart it if you'd like to, which just resets that fuel economy history basically. But this shows you just some trip information about your fuel usage and how far you can drive and things like that. Pressing this button here on the left, apps, that gives us access to all the other functions of the screen here. So we've been through audio, phone, and then eco would be the name of this one here. And along the bottom we have setup, which contains some vehicle settings here. We have traffic. I can show us a little traffic map of showing the flow of traffic. You can see green for smooth flowing traffic, and then things like yellow, orange, or red for stoppages or slowdowns. We have weather, which we can look at current weather in the area along with 3-day and a 6 and 12-hour forecast. We can also search different places within that application. Last thing there is Scout GPS. That Scout GPS function allows you to install an app on your smartphone and plug your smartphone into the USB port of the vehicle, and then run a navigation application from your phone, but on the screen of the vehicle to use navigation if you'd like to. That covers the primary features in that screen. Moving down to the climate control, we have dual zone climate control, but also a rear zone, so actually tri-zone climate control. To adjust the temperatures, this is the driver's side dial here. Simply rotate that to adjust it. Fan speed is adjusted here. We have where the air is being sent to, which vents it's coming out of here. We have your recirculate mode. We have rear temperature control. If we push this rear button, you'll see that that turns that third zone on, and you can adjust that temperature independent of the front zones. Within the passenger dial, we have a sync button, which would pair up all the zones together and give the driver's dial control of all 3 zones. To decouple that, simply change one of the other zones' temperatures, and they'll no longer be synced together. On the left side, within the driver's dial, we have auto mode, which allows you to set the temperature, and it takes care of the fan speed and vent location and the rest of that for you. We have the off switch for the climate control, and then we have front and rear defroster switches here. And that rear defroster switch will also turn on the heated side view mirrors. And so we have our hazards just to the left of that. Looking down below here, we do have a little kind of cargo shelf, which has this little panel here, which is removable. That panel, when popped out, allows you to feed cable for your devices through from these charging ports that are down below, and you can feed the cable then up through that opening, and there's a little cutout here to keep the cable from falling back in. It's just a way to route your cables for your devices that you're charging. Also down below here we have a couple switches. We have the button to turn off the traction control, which is on by default every time you turn on the vehicle. You have the switch for what Toyota calls snow mode. It's just a way for you to tell the vehicle that you're going to be driving on snow, and it will adjust some of the settings as far as all-wheel drive and stability control accordingly. We have descent assist control, which is a system designed for specifically driving down a steep grade, and that way you don't have to hold the brake pedal the whole time you are descending that grade. The last button here is a lock-in switch for your all-wheel drive system, which would take the power of that all-wheel drive system and send 50% to the front wheels and 50% to the rear wheels, and lock that split in basically at speeds under 20 miles per hour. It'll shut itself off if you go faster, and you can't activate it if you're going faster than that 20 mile an hour mark, so you can't do any damage or hurt anything by using that. Looking at the steering wheel, we have controls here, an up, down, left, right arrow, and a center button, along with a back arrow and a last button here. This controls the screen and the gauge cluster. The up and down arrows allow us to cycle through different information, and the right and left arrows allow us to sort through these tabs up at the top, which are different sections. The first one is information, showing things like fuel economy, range, average speed, eco indicator, your all-wheel drive, and then a sway warning. If the vehicle believes you're driving in such a manner that you're drowsy, it will tell you to pull over and take a break. Going to the right, we have audio information. We're able to change through our presets and also change the source of audio in this section. We have our driver assistance screen. This shows us the cruise controls off, and our lane departure and lane keep assist systems are off as well. This is the stop start screen, which shows the usage of that stop start system. So when you come to a complete stop, the vehicle will shut down the engine while you're sitting at that red light or stop sign or whatever it might be. And as soon as your foot begins to leave the brake pedal, the engine will restart so you can resume driving again. that is able to be turned off with a switch here just to the left in case that's something that you don't want to use. Second to last section here is the messages section in case we had a tire that was low on air or needed an oil change or any maintenance needs. And then the last one is the settings category. And you can change language and units and things like that within there. That back arrow would function if we were in a particular menu here. For example, if we go to units and I push that back button, it takes us to that previous screen. And this button here takes us back to the first page, which has got that trip information, fuel economy, etc. Down below here we have two buttons here, as well as this stalk behind the wheel. This stalk controls the cruise control for the vehicle. To turn the cruise on, simply push the end of that stalk there. You'll see a message appear in the gauge cluster showing radar ready. This vehicle is equipped with radar cruise control, also known as adaptive cruise control. The way that functions is that you would turn the cruise on, click this stalk down to set your speed. If you wanted to speed up, you'd click up to the plus sign. If you wanted to slow down, you'd click down to the minus sign. If you pull the stalk towards you, that functions as cancel. And then to resume, click the stalk up again. The radar or adaptive component of this is this button here, which when pressed, you'll see a screen here showing 3 different intervals, 3 different bars. And those correspond to distance. Basically, the vehicle is able to not only maintain the speed you've set, but also maintain a distance between your vehicle and the vehicles in front of you. And it will use the cameras and sensors on the vehicle to determine when a vehicle is in front of you and adjust your speed automatically to maintain the distance you've established and told the vehicle to maintain. And it will speed itself up and slow itself down as necessary given the speed that you've set and the speed of the traffic around you. You can adjust how big that gap is with this button here. 3 bars would be the greatest distance and 1 bar would be the closest. The other button we have here is our lane departure, alert, and steering assist. This system will, when there are clearly marked road lines, alert you when you've drifted out of your lane. You'll see it is unavailable below 32 miles per hour. But when there are clearly marked road lines, it will alert you when you've drifted out of your lane. And if you didn't move yourself back into your lane, the vehicle will give you a slight nudge on the steering wheel to bump you back into your lane. Again, that system is user decided, so you can turn that on or off at your discretion. On the left side of the steering wheel, we have our volume adjustment for the radio here. We have an up and down arrow to cycle through our presets. We have the mode button. When you press that, that cycles us between AM, FM, satellite, and whatever other sources of audio are available. If you hold it down, it functions as a mute button. And then the 3 buttons that remain, we have a button to answer an incoming phone call or decline an incoming phone call here, as well as hang up an active call. And lastly, our voice command switch, which allows us to press it and give the vehicle a command, such as placing a call to a specific contact. Behind the steering wheel, we have our windshield wiper stalk on the right side. To use that, simply bump that stalk up once for a single swipe, move it down to the first position for intermittent, which you can then adjust with this ring here. Then we have low speed and high speed there. For the rear wiper, simply rotate that stalk right on the end there. You have the off position, intermittent, and the on position there. And then for the sprays for the front wiper, front windshield, pull that stalk towards you. And for the spray for the rear, push the stalk away from you. Looking on the left side stalk is our headlight controls. Our headlights are automatic, so they'll come on once it begins to get dark out, and during the day you'll have running lights, so you're visible to other drivers still. We have fog lights, which you'll see an icon appear there. Those will come on with the headlights in that auto capacity as well. To turn on your brights, simply push that stalk away from you to turn them on, pull it towards you to flash them, and then we also have our blinkers there as well. There are 2 stalks sticking out of the gauge cluster here. The one on the left side adjusts the brightness here for the instrument panel, and the one on the right side will adjust or cycle through the trip odometer and standard odometer. So you have trip A, and to reset those, simply push that stalk in and hold it until it resets itself. And you can just use that to cycle through the odometer and trip A and trip B. Down on the left side here, we have automatic high beams. You'll see we get a message to activate auto high beam, switch headlights to high beam. And now we have a separate icon there showing auto up in the top. The automatic high beams will turn the high beams on as long as there is not another vehicle approaching you with their headlights on. The idea being that you can have your high beams going and the car will turn them off for you if another vehicle approaches and reactivate them as soon as that vehicle has passed you. We have the off switch for that auto start-stop system that we referenced earlier. We have a button to open or close the powered rear liftgate. And then down below we have a button for heated windshield wipers here. Looking at the door, we have our window switches, our window locks, our door locks, and our mirror adjustments. Simply twist that dial to the right or to the left to choose the mirror you're adjusting, and then it functions as a joystick there to move that mirror. Lastly, up above, we have a sunglasses case as well as a little mirror for viewing the rear occupants. We have our dome lights here. Simply press those to turn them on. We have the switch that tells the dome lights to come on when the doors are open and shut off when they're closed. If you wanted to leave the doors open for any period of time, you would press that switch so that opening a door does not turn on those dome lights and run the battery down. And then the last switch there turns the dome lights on in the whole vehicle all at once, in case you need to see everything that's going on. Those are the primary features of this 2018 Toyota Highlander LE Plus. If you have any further questions, please refer to us at waltersautos.com or feel free to call 269-375-7008. Thank you.